Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a simple observation based array problem. The problem statement is given an array, find the count of elements that have at least one element greater than themselves. First, let's try to understand the problem. Here we are taking an example 2, 4, 6, 10, 3, 1, 5, 10 and 9. For each element in this array, we need to check whether there exists at least one element greater than it and then count all such elements. Let's go through the array step by step. For 2, do we have any element greater than it? Yes, we have 4, 6 and 10. So the count is 1 now. For 4, we have 6 and 10 greater than that. So the count is 2. For 6, we have 10, right? Also 9. So the count is 3. For 10, do we have any element greater than 10? No, right? So we are just skipping and the count remains the same. For 3, we have, right? The count is 4 now. For 1, obviously we have. So count is 5. For 5, we have. The count becomes 6. Again for 10, we don't have any element greater than 10. So count remains same. For 9, yes, we have 10. The count is 7. So the final result here is 7. So far we have found the greater elements by simply seeing the array. But how to implement it? Let's talk about the brute force approach first. Initialize a variable count which is equal to 0. Use one loop to pick each element I. Use another loop to compare it with every element j. If array of j is greater than array of I, increment the count and move to the next element. This approach works, but since we are using two nested loops, the time complexity is big O of n square here. Let's optimize this using observation. When you look at the array carefully, ask this question: which elements do not have any greater element? 2 has a greater element, 4 has a greater element, 6 has a greater element, 10 doesn't have, 3 has a greater element, 1 has a greater element, 5 has a greater element, again 10 doesn't have, 9 has a greater element. From this, we can say that only 10 doesn't have a greater value. What is 10 here? 10 is a maximum element in the array. So the conclusion is only the maximum element in the array doesn't have any greater element. All the other elements do have at least one greater element. So the answer is count of all elements except 10. Hence, we can say result is equal to count of an array minus count of maximum elements. The total number of elements in the array is 9. Count of maximum elements is 2. So the result is 9 minus 2, 7, which matches our answer. The time complexity with this method is big O of 1. Let's now move to the implementation and see how to code this efficiently. Now we are going to have two variables. One is count. Count variable is to maintain the count of the maximum element in the array. I have initialized it with 0. Next, the variable max. The max variable is to store the maximum element of the array. I have initialized it with array of 0, which is the first element of the array. Now let's start the iteration. We are iterating from 1 to count of the array. We are starting from 1 because we already have array of 0 in max. So we can start comparing the max with the next position, that is 1. We are going to compare array of I with max. If array of I is greater than max, we can assign array of I to max. So max is equal to array of I. And then we have to make the count to 1. And we have a next condition, which is array of I is equal to max. What if the max has already the same element array of I? so that we have to increment the count by 1. Array of I equal to max. We are just incrementing the count. That's it. Finally, result. As we all know, result is nothing but array count minus maximum elements count, that is count here. Let's print and see the result. Okay. 7. We got the answer. This is a great example of how a simple observation can help us optimize a problem from big O of n square to big O of n. You can find the GitHub link for the DST problems in the description. I also provide iOS training, resume reviews, interview supports for those who want to grow in their careers or switch into iOS development. If you are interested in any of these or need guidance, feel free to reach out to me at amptrektraining@gmail.com. I am happy to help. If you found this video helpful, please like, share and subscribe for more such content. Thanks for watching.